What is up, you guys? It's me, Vic. Welcome back to another Cestlavic YouTube video. In this video, we are going to talk all about tongue tags. This is so gross. This video is all about tongue tags. What is the tongue and what is the tongue tag on a sneaker? I have a single Air Force One here, and this part is the tongue of the sneaker. The tongue tag is basically this panel right here where the company will usually put their logo. If you're a customizer like me, this is an area that is so fun to play with. Ever since I posted my White Rabbit candy video, a lot of you guys have been requesting for me to do a video just on how I customize the tongue tag. Let's get into it. Woo!
Materials that you will need for your custom kit. Of course, you need your tongue, and this is gonna come with the sneakers that you're working on, so needles and thread. This is totally optional, but having a pair of pliers sometimes helps you to maneuver the needles in and out of the tongue tag. And then a pair of scissors, of course. This is double-sided tape. This helps to just hold the tongue tag onto the tongue as you're stitching. So this is also optional, but it really helps. And then of course, the thread that I'm using is bonded nylon thread, and I can add the details of that down in the description. And then again, this is sort of the custom tongue tag kit that I've thrown together. So it contains 2 tongue tags, so for one custom project, and then all of the thread that you would probably need and 2 needles that comes with the kit. These are made to size for the Air Force Ones and for certain models of the AJ ones. You know, I'm gonna put the measurements on the website. Just make sure you measure it out before you decide on purchasing it, because you know, you need to make sure that everything is going to fit perfectly. And you can customize anything you want on top of this leather. It's a very delicate, very soft leather, so it's going to look very clean and very nice. And then afterwards, there is the Cestlavic logo right here, but you can just go ahead and, you know, snip this part off when you're done with it or before you even stitch it on. Okay, so that is the kit. You should have everything you need, maybe just a pair of scissors on the side or a pair of pliers, and there will be instructions included in each kit so that you can follow along. But the video is probably the best visual representation of how to do this. Let's get into it. First thing I'm gonna do is cut really, really close to the stitches without cutting into any of the stitches. And once you do, usually with this type of material, you can pull out between the stitches, and then you won't have to worry about, you know, stitching it again and all of that fun stuff. And then again, same thing here. You want to make sure that you're very, very close to the stitches, but not close enough such that you cut out the existing stitches, because that's not what we want to do here. And then you try to just gently pull out the remaining thread. And then again, because it's stitched a couple of times, I want to just do it to the bottom. Okay. As you can see, not using a lot of force, just making sure that the stitches aren't cut underneath, because then everything will unravel, and it's not a big deal. You just have to either restitch it or burn it off so that it doesn't completely unravel. But this is probably one of the easier ways to kind of keep the tongue intact and stuff. This is what the tongue looks like once you've removed that tongue tag, okay? And the stitches are a little bit looser, but if you don't mess with them, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. So I'm gonna take this custom tongue tag. So I'm gonna put it down right here, and you should be able to kind of see where the old stitches are so that you can center your tongue tag according to what it was before. What we're gonna do is stitch it along this line with the tongue tag upside down. So this is the inside of the tongue tag, okay? And then once we stitch that, what's gonna happen is we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna pull it tight over the tongue, and then we're going to create some more stitches to stitch it through the front as well. So that is our game plan. Oh, another thing, this is double-sided tape. It's really, really commonly used in the fashion worlds for sewing and stuff, and this could be really helpful in keeping things in place. So if you want to just use just a little strip of this right here, it might be helpful. You want to line up the tongue tag. That's how we're gonna stitch it on, and then we're gonna be able to flip it over to the other side. And then we're going to grab a needle. I'm gonna grab some nylon thread. So what I typically do is just thread the needle, and then I like to just knot the end of the string about 3 to 4 times in the same place so that it creates sort of this really big knot, and the string's not going to separate onto the other side. So then basically what you're gonna do, this part's a little bit tricky, but you're going to go from the back and kind of try to find where the hole is in the front, and you're going to just push the needle through, okay? And make sure your finger isn't right over the needle, because it'll go, the needle will go into your finger. And then the front's easy, you kind of just do the same thing. And for the back, the best thing to do is to make sure you're kind of following this line that's here. So from the previous stitches, there's a bit of a line. So you want to make sure that your stitches are coming out from that line. And you just want to kind of make sure that as you're going, you're pulling the thread, not too tight, but you still want to pull it so that it's pretty taut and everything, all the stitches are even. That's gonna give you the best outcome. It's super simple. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. You just want to make sure it goes through here. And if it doesn't, you kind of get it into the wrong spot, just don't pull the needle all the way out, pull it backwards and try again until you get the position that you like. So we've done these stitches, right? There are about 6 of them. So now we're actually going to go backwards and we're going to fill out the other stitches. So I'm going to go in, back into this hole. So I was here on this other side, I'm gonna go backwards and just fill out this hole right here. So this is the back stitch into the same hole that we went through the first time. We're going through that hole, so into this hole. So there we go. We've stitched all the way. You can always check your work in the front, make sure it's pretty much even. And you might want to crease this gently so that it kind of lays relatively flat, okay? And this part of the tape, once you're done, you could go ahead and remove it, or you can just, roll it down a little bit so that it's not visible, okay? And make sure if you're customizing on the tongue tag, you do this before you stitch it on, because if you do it after you stitch it on, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just making it a lot harder for yourself, okay? So to tie off the knot for this stitch, I'm just going to poke it so that I pick up a tiny bit of fabric. And you want to go on the inside of these stitches. You don't want to poke anything outside, because then you'll see the knot once your tongue tag goes over, right? You want to make sure that the knot that we tie off is not going to be exposed on the tongue tag. And then, so afterwards I do this, I'm going to just wrap a couple times around, so once or twice, right, around the needle, and then you're going to just pull it out all the way. Make sure you pull tight, and then you can go ahead and cut this off. With leather, there's a little bit of stretch in the leather, so if it's a little longer, you can do it a little bit longer. Just don't pull it so much such that everything kind of gets too tight and it doesn't lay flat. Everything's kind of like scrunched up. You don't want to do that. Okay, so with this one, there's already a set row of stitches in the back. So what I'm gonna do is just position this where I want it. You can also use another piece of double-sided tape to hold down the tongue so that it doesn't move around too much for you. You want to make sure you're not putting the tape over the stitch holes, because if you do that accidentally, it will cover up your stitch holes and then it'll make it difficult for you to put your stitches in. Just like that. Change it up if you think it's not in the position that you want it to be. So the first stitch is going to be right here. I'm just going to go from the inside here and pick up a tiny bit of fabric so that the knot that I've created at the end of my thread doesn't show when you put the tongue tag back down. And then obviously the first one, just push it through like this. What you can do is you can go all the way through, just making sure that you're following one of these two rows. Okay, so if it's easier for you to go all the way through, you just follow these stitches, and when you come back up, make sure you are in the second hole. You can also stitch these tongue tags without going through the entire thickness. You can just take material from the back, if you get what I mean, and you don't have to go all the way to the front, so the stitches aren't visible in the front, and that works as well. I've done that with some of the shoes in the past. You want to be gentle because this leather is really soft usually, so you don't want to be poking holes all over the place. Just go really slow, go gentle. So you see I'm putting the needle back into these stitch holes, so it really kind of hides any new stitches. It doesn't look out of place, and everything's gonna be in a straight line when you do that. Okay, so make sure to kind of pull tight so that everything is taut. I'm going through so that I can come out this hole right here. Okay, so this hole right here, we're going to go backwards, doing that back stitch so that we can cover all of the stitches. And again, I'm not the best seamstress. I don't sew very well, but this is like sort of the most direct way. You don't have to think too hard about how you're doing this. It's a very, very simple method of cleanly replacing the tongue tag. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go back through this hole, but I'm not gonna go all the way through. I'm just gonna go through the bottom right here so that we can get the thread hidden behind here. So I'm gonna do that same thing to tie off my thread, but I'm gonna try to get as close as possible to the base of the tongue tag so that I can hide the knot when we tie off. So you take this part of the thread, you can wrap it around twice, and then you pull out the needle like this. And then if you further want to hide, you know, where you cut out the knot and stuff, you can thread it through and then cut it further in. Go ahead and cut that off. And there we have it. That's basically the quick and easy of how you replace your own custom tongue tag. It's very, very simple. It is beginner level sewing. And again, just put this video on slow motion if you need to follow step by step. It gets easier every time you do it. So don't be afraid. If you have any questions, you can just reach out, send me a DM, you know, send me your questions. I'm happy to answer it for you. So I just wanted to quickly go over the kit that I've created for you. Now, the reason why I created this kit is I went online, and when I was personally looking for tongue tags and custom tongue tags or used tongue tags, things like that, I realized that this doesn't exist in the custom world, and maybe you guys want to do this as well. And because I'm making these myself, they're not mass produced, I didn't send it off to a company to make, I will say that the price reflects that. What I've used in this kit is basically 2 pieces of this really, really nice leather. And I'll just show you guys, actually, I have one of these. This is what the tongue tags look like fresh out of the laser cutter. This is on very, very soft lamb's wool. So it is very, very good quality leather. Just have to remove the tape that protects the surfaces. So that's what the leather looks like. I have already taken a bit of acetone to the leather, so you're already prepped. If anything, just quickly run like a cotton pad with acetone over the top of it, just so that you make sure there's no more paint on top and you can just paint directly on it. Seal it with a top coat if you want to be super protective, and then you're all set and ready to go. You're going to get a really sort of luxurious product when you use these. There are 2 tongue tags in each kit, and then I've also attached one of these, so spools of thread. I included a white thread and then a black thread as well. And then I have 2 needles. Again, I could have just included one because as you can see, when I stitched it, I only used 1 needle. Or if you lose a needle and you want to have another one, I wanted to make sure that I included that for you guys. It took a really long time. I tested about 10 pairs of Air Force 1s and AJ1s to sort of figure out the size that you need for these tongue tags. I'm curious to hear your feedback, but I will have the measurements for the actual tongue tags themselves so that you can go ahead, measure out the size that you think you will need before you place an order. I just created a limited run of these kits. It's really just so that you guys have access to a tongue tag that's really easy to apply on and yeah, that you can customize.
And that is a wrap. I hope you guys found this video interesting. Hope it answered some of your burning questions about how I go about swapping the tongue tag. If you want to enter the giveaway, by the way, for the free tongue tag sets that I'm gonna send out, make sure you leave that comment in the comment section with the tongue emoji. I don't care which one, get creative, and I will choose a winner for the next video and I'll get those sets sent out to you. If you don't win and you still wanna get your own custom tongue tag kit, then just check out the link down below and you can go and get that. That is it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you click that subscribe button and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.